Mail here already? Early for Saturday. Anything for me? Ralph?
Huh?
Ralph. I said, is there anything for... What is it? What's the matter?
It's from the bank. It says we owe 'em $2,400. A little over $66 a month for 3 years.
Well, what for, Ralph? What for?
I tell you one thing, Martha. They won't get away with it.
Don't be too sure about that, Mr. Stacy. You are being charged $2,400, 2 bundles of shingles. It's an outrage, but the people who placed you in this position can and will get away with it. It happens every day. It's one of the many reasons that there has been built through the years the Better Business Bureau story.
Good morning, Better Business Bureau. A mattress sale? You want to check the savings claim? Well, let me connect you with Miss Mack in our merchandising department. She may be able to help you. Good morning, Better Business Bureau. Just one moment, please. Mr. Tucker, Mr. Wilkes from the newspaper's on the phone. He has an ad for an arthritis remedy, and he wants to check its advertiser and his claims. Thank you. I'll put him on. Good morning, Better Business Bureau. Information about insurance? What kind? Yes, we have a booklet telling what to look for when you buy. Certainly. Your name and address, please?
The signals that come to this switchboard, the voices that travel over its wires, are the sounds of people. People with questions, with problems, with projects, with complaints. People who live together, work together in a community. In the everyday routine of depending on each other, most people are honest. They do their best to please those whom they serve, to represent their goods and services as they are, to generate trust and understanding. The majority of business is honest, but there are always some who try to cheat. Take, for example, what happened to Bob and Sarah Williams the other day. After shopping for weeks for their first brand new car, they saw an ad offering very low monthly payments that they felt were within their reach. The ad brought them to Vacher Motors, where they were about to close the deal. It was their second visit. Several papers, including a contract, had already been drawn up. When Bob Williams looked at the contract, he noticed that some of the amounts were not filled in. The salesman assured him that nothing was wrong. This was a detail, a formality, something for the boss to worry about. And so the contract was signed. After all, wasn't this a reputable firm? The monthly payment price was right there in the ad in cold black and white, and the Williams were very anxious to get that car. But as it turned out, there was something to worry about. A few days later, when their payment book arrived in the mail, it called for monthly payments of $86 instead of $58 as advertised and expected. To the Williams, with their careful planning and tight budget, it was a difference that hurt. They went back to the salesman, but without result. They should have known that there would be certain additional fees and charges. If they didn't, it wasn't his fault. But there was something else bothering Bob Williams.
Honestly, Sarah, I don't know if this is a deliberate jip or an honest mistake.
Yes, we made the mistake. Did you know anything about this company before we came here?
No. No, all I did was fall for that low monthly payment line in their ad.
Oh.
Well, it may be too late, but there's one thing I can do.
What?
Do a little checking on them.
Right.
Good afternoon, Better Business Bureau. Yes, Mr. Williams. This involves the purchase of a new car? Well, let me connect you with Mr. Cannon. I'm sure he can help you. You're welcome.
Yes, there was a way to check on the dealer. A way that might better have been explored before the Williams did business with him. But as many do when they feel they've been taken, they call the Better Business Bureau. Now, this organization is not essentially a policing or disciplinary agency. It studies complaints like this one to try to establish the causes of any public dissatisfaction with business and to help business to eliminate them.
Bob, sorry to disturb you, but it's this Vortier Motors thing. Strange. 4 complaints this week.
Well, there must be some reason, Ben. Well, you've checked, of course. What did you find?
Well, Vortier Motors has been in business here for 12 years. Clean, no kicks on their ads. Then a couple of months ago, they hired a new sales manager. New guy, new ideas. Fast operator, I gather.
You've been looking at these ads, of course.
Sure. Quite different all of a sudden.
I know. You've been thinking of shopping this one in person, Ben?
Yes, Bob, I have. I thought tomorrow morning.
Good.
Armed with one of their ads for ridiculously low down payments, Ben Cannon called on Vortier Motors the following day. He posed as an ordinary prospect. He was told that the advertised car was not available. The salesman did his best to pressure Cannon into buying another car at a higher price with higher monthly payments. It was an old tactic which Ben Cannon recognized immediately. The Better Business Bureau had long had a name for this kind of selling. They call it bait and switch.
As Better Business Bureau manager, I've been up against many similar situations. From experience, we know how to help a business group solve its problems.
The stake at this meeting of auto dealers was high. It was the confidence of the buying public.
Almost all our local car dealers were represented at the several meetings held in the Bureau offices. A few who couldn't make it had promised their full cooperation to help clean up a bad situation. Even Vortier Motors was represented. These were meetings of businessmen in a single industry trying to solve their own problems, trying to further their own interests by better serving those of the community. Finally, gentlemen, I feel you've arrived at a good code. A code of honest advertising and selling standards. And now that you're about to adopt it, I'd like to make some comments. The reason we've been meeting all these weeks is that a few car dealers, a few out of your considerable number, forgot the importance of public confidence as a necessity in your business, as in any business. Only a few were responsible, a few out of many, but the proportion doesn't matter. It takes just one unscrupulous businessman to cloud the reputation of all of the people in that business. Gentlemen, our most powerful weapon and your most effective sales tool is truth. Truth communicated forcefully to the buying public. We shall waste no time in helping you launch the code you have set up.
Thinking of buying a new car? Here's helpful information from your Better Business Bureau. Be sure that any contract you sign states clearly the price of the car, the accessories, taxes, insurance fees, carrying charges, as well as the exact amount and number of the time payments you expect to carry. Read and understand anything you sign before you sign it. Signing a blank contract is like signing a blank check.
Not all cases of dishonest practice or outright swindling involve signatures. I remember one that happened just the other day. One out of many of its kind. One that will happen again next week, next month, next year. For as long as people are human, kind, generous, and gullible.
The Civic Luncheon Club is quite an operation. A lot of do-gooders. Real giving-out type people. This guy Akers looks like a good bet. Red Cross Drive, Veterans Housing, PTA, Industry Management Association. Perfect.
Right. Sounds like a natural.
Well, go ahead, Smoothie. He's your dish. Would you, care to have me place the call?
Oh, yes, do. Please do.
Peerless Foundry? Good morning. Would you connect me with the President's secretary, please? Good morning. I'm calling for Mr. Jonathan Smythe, president of the American Labor Management Improvement League. He would like to speak with Mr. Akers. Yes, of course. I think he's taking the hook. Mr. Akers, one moment, please. Mr. Jonathan Smythe calling.
Good morning, Mr. Akers. Joe Johnson of the Civic Luncheon Club suggests you might be interested in a little project we're undertaking. We're trying to form a bulwark against un-Americanism in industry. You know how important that is these days. As one of our top business leaders, we feel we must have your support. Now, we put you down for a nominal $200. You may want to increase that amount. Of course, this will also help to take care of some of the problems in your own plant, as you know. That's right. I knew you would. May I send my secretary to pick up your check? Oh, yes, of course. Labor Management Improvement League. 200. That's right. Will sometime this afternoon be all right? Thank you. And I look forward to meeting you in person one of these days, at the club, perhaps. Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you, sucker. Pushover. That's another one for you to pick up this afternoon.
This is a charity organization. It has, as you can see, everything such an organization needs. An office with furnishings and equipment, typewriter, telephones, a research library, and a staff. Only 2 people, of course, but astute people, intelligent people, and obviously well-bred if you listen without looking.
Honey, he's the natural for the milk fund. Bank vice president. Mixed up in committees that are lousy with underprivileged kids. Orphans and babies.
Okay, but make it a fast pickup. You know, the statement of the papers gimmick. These bankers have a habit of checking if you give them time to think.
Okay, sweetie. Gotcha. Hello? Mr. Whipple, please. Clarence Whipple. Oh, yes, of course. This is Mrs. T. Colton Burbank. Hello, Mr. Whipple. I stopped by the bank to see you the other day, but you were tied up. And I know how busy you bankers are. I volunteered my services in behalf of the Milk for Needy Babies Fund. And I told my club the other day that I was sure we could count on you as a sponsor. Now you will serve on our advisory committee, won't you? Oh, good. You know, one of the most rewarding things about my assignment is that there's never any question about the need.
We've all simply got to roll up our sleeves and go to work. And we're certainly proud of the response we're getting. Why, the First National Bank contributed $100. And I'm sure you don't want to do anything less, do you? Thanks so much. Now, we're just preparing a statement for the afternoon papers, and I would just love to include your name. May I send over for your check right now?
Every year, between $150 and $200 million are lost to legitimate and worthwhile charities because of promoters like these. Oh, excuse me. Mr. Akers, the solicitation you called about a few minutes ago, we're familiar with it. As a matter of fact, we have a report from the National Better Business Bureau which shows that bureaus in several cities have reported on similar phone solicitations. It's a rank promotion by a Mr. and Mrs. team. Anyway, thanks to you, we've notified the police and they're on the way over.
I'm grateful to you. You know, this service alone is worth the price of bureau membership.
Thanks. And I'm glad you called. Goodbye. In reporting on philanthropic organizations, your local and national Better Business Bureaus help you avoid swindlers so that you can allocate your charity dollars wisely. This is one of your Better Business Bureau's most helpful services. But the type of mind that will prey on the public's generosity will stop at nothing. We had a particularly unfortunate example of this a few weeks ago. What was the name?
Ralph. Ralph. I said, is there anything for... What is it? What's the matter?
It's from the bank. It says we owe them $2,400. A little over $66 a month for 3 years.
What for, Ralph? What for?
I tell you one thing, Martha. They won't get away with it.
Well, I should think not. They've got some nerve. How can they ask payment for a job that hasn't really been started?
How can they, Mrs. Stacy? Let's take a look at just how they can. Let's go back and see just what happened. This man, claiming to represent a company you never heard of, looked your house over. He saw that you needed roofing and siding repair. That's what makes his presence seem logical. There's never any doubt about the need. You explained to him that he'd better come back when your husband was home and talk with him about it. That was all right. He expected that. He came back the following Saturday, remember? And the three of you inspected the house carefully to determine what work ought to be done. A new roof, certainly, and the replacement of a lot of the siding. Mr. Stacy asked him what it would cost, and he made a show of estimating. And he came up with the answer.
Well, the whole thing, materials and labor, will come to $2,400. That will include painting, of course.
Golly, that's a lot more than I thought. We just don't have that kind of money right now. I guess we'll just have to make do, Martha. I can fix up the worst spots myself, little by little. Then maybe next year.
I know, it sounds like a lot of money, Mr. Stacy. I know I couldn't swing an amount like that, but maybe we can help each other. Look, suppose I were to tell you how this job could be done without it costing you a single penny. Well, I know, it sounds impossible, but it's quite simple, really. You help me, I help you. It's as simple as that. You see, we're a new company, just moved to town. We've got a lot of prospects, but it's hard to get business without showing work you've done. Now, I'll tell you what. I'd like to use your house as a display. We'll pay you $100 bonus on each job we get, up to $2,400, the price of your job. Now, this should more than take care of your monthly payments.
You know, it's curious. People since time began have known better than to believe a total stranger who offers them something for nothing. Yet they go right on doing it. You believed it, Mr. Stacy.
Well, that kind of puts a different complexion on things. Can it really work out that way?
Why, of course it can. I've seen it happen time and time again.
There's nothing like reassurance from an expert to build confidence. There were a few formalities, of course, a few papers to sign. The salesman made this part of the deal look routine. But what you were signing, Mr. Stacy, had you stopped to read them, were a contract, a chattel mortgage, and a certificate saying that the job had been completed to your satisfaction.
What Stacy didn't know was that the company, as it was called, consisted of only 2 men. They left town and they won't be back. Remember, Stacy signed a completion certificate on the basis of which the bank acted in good faith and will expect to be paid.
And now, here's an employee with a serious financial problem. A problem that is constantly with him. His morale is bad. His work suffers. He is incapable of doing his job as it should be done.
Excuse me, Mr. Camargo. You know, I'd like to have you take a look at this thing I got myself mixed up with.
I'm sorry, Mr. Stacy. I wish you'd come earlier, because I know we could have saved you the trouble and the money. This outfit's been in operation here for a few weeks. They almost took Brian Walker in accounting for $4,000. And there were about a dozen others. Well, when inquiries started coming in, we checked the Better Business Bureau, of which we're members. And they had a record on the outfit.
Our files indicate that this was a typical model home scheme. In this case, it was a roofing and siding job, but it can be whatever your home happens to need. A new driveway, a paint job, storm windows, a furnace, almost anything. As is our custom, we warned other Better Business Bureaus and through them other financing institutions. But perhaps the most unfortunate commentary in this case is that the trouble might have been avoided if one caution of your Better Business Bureau had been observed. Never sign a completion certificate before the work has been done to your satisfaction. It is not only Ralph and Martha Stacy who have been hurt by the actions of this swindler. It is all contractors and indeed the entire business community. For it means that the Stacys won't be buying that clothes dryer this year. Insurance premiums will be hard to meet. They may pass up that semi-annual visit to the dentist. There won't be so many new pairs of shoes for a year or two. New tools for the basement shop will suddenly seem like a large luxury and will not be purchased. And that dress Martha needs will be much less expensive or will be postponed entirely. Junior's education fund won't be added to for a while. There will be no vacation for the family this year. Fewer dollars will go for food. There will be cheaper cuts of meat and budget dishes. And certainly the family won't be dining out nearly as often. Your business community maintains your Better Business Bureau as a check on itself, and so as a means of voluntary self-regulation on the part of business in the public's interest. Your Bureau derives its support only from business. And so by seeing to it that standards of truth and honesty are observed in all segments of business, your Better Business Bureau protects the whole community against unfair advertising and selling practices. The Bureau is not a policing or adjustment agency. Its entire objective is the prevention of abuses through tried and proven and always voluntary means. The cases you've seen here are varied because the Bureau's activities are varied. But there is one basic principle common to all of these examples: the use of facts to fight fraud and deception. Day after day, sales methods are checked and advertising carefully examined to make sure that it is factually correct and not misleading. Steps are taken to correct that which is bad. Our experience shows that almost all businesses are honest, but even the most scrupulous make an occasional mistake. And constant watching and checking are necessary to protect the community from those who deliberately abuse their advertising privileges.
In over 100 cities throughout the United States and Canada, business serves the public interest through Better Business Bureaus. There is a constant vigilance, a constant exchange of reports and information throughout this far-flung network. The tools used, however, are often routine and unspectacular. Typewriters, stencils, letters, motion picture film, television cameras, radio microphones, and booklets, leaflets, and other informational material to serve the vast majority of people who call on their Better Business Bureau not to complain, but rather to seek information. But the work these tools do in the skilled hands of the people who use them are of giant stature and tremendous effect.
Good morning, Better Business Bureau. Yes, I think we can help you.